Yeah, and
we're rolling and action.
Hi, welcome to Sebastian how do you say his name?
It's Sebastian Chaumeton.
Welcome to this new upcoming artist's solo show at Maddox Gallery called Fuzzy Futures. Let's go meet the artist.
Get a lot of that.
Hey, look, it's Kermit. I don't know what that's made of. Sounds hollow. It's a bit shit there. Anyway, establish a shot there and we'll... Oh, here he is. Oh, hey. Yeah, I told you you were coming. Yeah, just sit up there. Pleasure to meet you. Pleasure's all mine. Oh, that was all. So, what's this all about? Well, in short, it's identity in online spaces. Is that why you're using Muppets and puppets then? Yeah, I'm interested in, you know, we're all puppeteered by one thing or another. What pulls those strings?
So the Muppets are metaphors for people?
Yeah, I think it's especially important in today's world where you don't only understand yourself but the world through a screen.
But why Muppets specifically?
Well, I'm glad I asked that. So
You mean me?
Yeah, me.
What?
So it's a combination between two things. The first being the textures of the Muppets going hand in glove with this sponge technique I've been exploring. Secondly, I use Muppets as well as cartoon characters as they're from my childhood. I think it's safe to say we're both of the generation that would, watch TV as kids. I suppose I like to recontextualize my past and the ideas of the present, focusing on the new platforms of choice such as YouTube and Instagram to perhaps highlight the differences.
You lost me a bit, but I did catch the word platforms. Expand on that.
Yeah, well, it's funny you should say that because this painting's called Mine the Platforms.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's a funny coincidence.
I know.
So yeah, hence the big tube carriage.
So you've stuffed this tube carriage with Kermit?
Well, I think if you look closer, you'll realise that it's not quite what it seems.
Upon further inspection, I do detect that they're not all Kermit. Why is that?
Well, I'm trying to visualise an idea around how your phones and algorithms dictate your newsfeed and platforms and pigeonhole your social, political and personal preferences. So even though all these passengers are very unique to the system, they're all the same. It's placed this Kermit-esque skin over them. I always watch people, with their heads down at the tube, wondering what they're doing, thinking and feeling. It's funny how everyone's so squashed together yet so detached, be that in music, the news, games, just food, I try to merge those ideas in an everyday space where we receive lots of our daily information.
Not very well in my opinion. Just looks like rush hour.
Oh, well, you're welcome to your opinion.
Yeah, the concepts are far too detached from what's actually in front of me.
Yeah, well, admittedly, this was the second painting I'd done in this style, so I was still trying to formulate the ideas alongside, the techniques.
It lacks that digital aspect to put you in that headspace.
Well, you lack the headspace to even get it. Also, did you break this earlier? I just noticed.
We move on.
Yeah, just delete that shot we had earlier of me breaking the tiles. So I see you've used Hokusai's Great Wave of Kanagawa, but you've merged that with the Cookie Monster? Since you're so smart, what do you think it's about? Well, cookie policies, of course, and maybe data misuse? Yeah, that's pretty good, actually. So you're using the wave to just ride off the fame of, artists of the past? Well, I think it's a bit of an overstatement, but it's more than that. I'm interested in why we hold these certain paintings above the rest and amongst this kind of flattening of art history that's going on. Well, what does that mean? Flattening of what now? So what I mean is we live in this world of oversaturation of information and images. So for good or for bad, these works of the old masters have been added to this amalgam of stuff. So you can see, a Picasso next to someone's clip art on your Instagram or Facebook or just the internet in general. And we've lost kind of that context of time and context and purpose. So this merge is just aesthetic. You're ripping off well-known works for your own benefit. Well, I'm not directly ripping it off, you know. I'm not just copying it and pasting it. I'm trying to, you know, remove it from its context, but focus in on that context specifically, and that's kind of, you know, why I'm using it opposed to just its aesthetic. Bullshit. Bullshit. Well, I mean, for example, you know, in this painting, Hokusai, you know, originally made this amongst a larger body of work, around 30, so it's already been, you know, appropriated by the West just for its sheer composition, but I'm more interested in that those original works were about different views of Mount Fuji. So Mount Fuji used to exist where this, you know, little mountain is, and I'm interested in reusing the context to reflect kind of how we subconsciously clip to, you know, cookie policies without really thinking what that means to add our data and information to this huge surgence of, you know, information. Well, not sure I believe you, but it does really annoy me that you've got Windows and Mac in the same painting. Well, you know, these issues aren't just attached to one company alone. We don't have much time, so maybe we should move on to another one. Alright. How about this one? Oh, yeah, we can do that. So earlier you mentioned the varying textures. Why bother? Yeah, so I'm conscious of the fact that these paintings, you know, people take photos of them and they end up on Instagram, so you can't fully appreciate the textures and the varying, you know, acrylic and oils until you're actually with the painting. You know, those things get lost in the pixels of an image. My question still stands. Why bother? Well, it's to slow down that viewing process to counteract the immediacy of the phones, you know, that the images exist on. Yeah, but why bother? To make you actually look, you know, reflect the time that I've taken in making the painting into the viewing process and maybe piece together the context whilst you're at it. Why bother? Well, people today would rather be, you know, entertained than educated. I'm trying to slow down that viewing process to, you know. Why bother? I don't know. I enjoy it. Is that? Oh, I see. It's Gustav Klimt. It's The Kiss. Yeah. So it's my take on modern dating and how you can sort of be, you know, entangled with someone but have your gaze elsewhere, and the grass can seem greener. In other platforms, you know, people present, you know, a false, imbalanced representation of themselves on social media. Should we move on? Let's go downstairs. Yeah, let's go downstairs. Oh, look at that. It's nice to see you not stealing someone else's characters, although I do detect a bit of Felix Colgrave and Philip Guston. You know me too well. Is copyright not an issue with, you know, brands and other people's characters? Yeah, so it's under this idea of fair use, in that you can use copyrighted material as long as you're transformative or adapting it or using it in a different, you know, different way. Yeah, with brands. Yeah, so I'm interested in, you know, what brands we choose to identify ourselves and what it means when you go too far and you lose a sense of character when you're covered head to toe with those brands. But we're all sort of guilty in some way or another to one thing in excess. Yeah, but you didn't really answer my question. So I'm personally a big fan of Lacoste. So how much Lacoste do you own? Quite a lot. So I noticed these are both called Superfluous, with a riff on Andy Warhol's Campbell's Soup Can and Supreme. Is that a comment on how art's having a big crossover in between advertising and the commercial nature of the art world? Yeah, exactly that. Elaborate. Yeah, well, I guess I could tell you about Andy Warhol, as he referred to his studio as the factory, and he was very... Yeah, well, Do you want to talk about Pepe? So, have you heard of Pepe? Pepe the Frog? Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of Pepe. Oh yeah, well, I'm also really interested in him as a character, in that, you know, he's been misused and abused by the masses of the internet, in that he was originally created by Matt Fury, who made him for a webcomic where he'd have these sort of crude, naff jokes where he'd
pee at urinals with his trousers down and just silly stuff like that. But he was kind of a poster boy for online message boards, and used as an image for mainly memes and just jokes. But he was heavily involved in American politics when Trump was rising to power, and for one reason or another he was kind of merged with Trump and merged with a lot of darker sort of jokes and memes that from the perspective of the media was seen as hate symbols, and he was actually added to the Anti-Defamation League as a symbol of hate. His face was put alongside things like the swastika and real hate symbols. So there's a huge disparity between his original creation and what he's been sort of labelled as. So I'm interested in putting him back in that original context and showing how he's being distorted and kind of misused.
So these are references too?
But yeah, again, these two paintings are to do with that merger of art history. So this is the Venus of Albina, but as Miss Piggy. And then this painting is also, these two are about similar context, but this one's actually hiding an art reference of the Discobolos from Myron, but it's actually on its side. So, it is. I recognise it now. And they're to do with voyeurism and the idea of looking and kind of how.
You guys doing a shot without me? What? Why have you moved the light?
Yeah, we were going to do a shot here. Yeah, I mean we were explaining these ones, but I suppose we could do a shot.
Yeah, no, set up here. We'll do a nice shot.
So, what's this made of? It's terracotta and modelling clay that I've marbled together and then reduction fired to create this kind of fascinating. Yeah, wood grain. And this was for your degree show. Yeah, it was for my degree show. I had an installation. There was a video piece, and the puppet would watch the video, and you'd sit and watch with the puppet. And it was to do with YouTube and kind of entertainers or online personalities and what pulls your strings behind the scenes. So, yeah, you mentioned YouTube, and I noticed in Screen Time you've got YouTube references. Yeah, no, that's just a little logo. Yeah, that's Logan Paul actually. Oh, really? And, so it's Logan Paul is a reference to that Suicide Forest incident where he was was vlogging in the Suicide Forest and came across a dead body and proceeded to release it to the masses, and it hit trending pages because the algorithm was designed to boost his videos because he's quite child friendly. But I mean, unlike most of his other videos, I mean they are quite controversial, but this one stepped way over the line, but it was still boosted to the trending page and hundreds of thousands of people saw it before it was taken down. And there weren't that many repercussions, so there wasn't that much backlash as opposed to ad revenue being pulled. So it's also to do with how all these characters are together in one space, but they're very self-absorbed or focused in on their own screens because everyone exists in their own platform and their own news feeds. Well, all these free-to-use platforms, everything's very accessible. So for a younger generation, they can be exposed to things that they wouldn't necessarily have seen, or say I would have seen when I was a kid. So I'm interested in those platforms and what it means for the younger generation. Are you even listening? I'm sick and tired of this. Like, you've been so rude all day. You even took a halfway through, explaining those paintings. I hear what you're saying, but I found that these paintings are just so hard to actually get into. Without you being here, they lack that context and that way to actually see beyond just what you're confronted with. And I just think, you at least need some sort of video that. What do you think we're doing with all this? Well, I just think, on the surface level, they're just novelty things. But you.
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.